It's the college football show presented by AT&T 5G, and look at that grab. Woo! Just when you thought it couldn't get better, that's only one of the best touchdowns and highlights we saw of the day, from Trey Turner catching that pass from Braxton Burmeister for Virginia Tech, and just along the way deciding he's going to climb the invisible crates and get all the way to the top of the challenge. What a play, and what a day it has been. You can hear the chaos in my voice because at the end of the day, one thing I can assure you, Harry Douglas, Jason Fitz, for the next hour, we're going to get you caught up on everything that's happened. We're going to set the table for everything that's going to happen tonight. We're going to have a blast doing it. But right now, we are living in the same chaos that you are living in. We've got games on all over the studio as we watch Clemson and NC State go to overtime after a missed kick. We're watching Arkansas and Texas A&M go down to the wire. Harry, it has been a wild Saturday.
Like what we talked about last week, it's been a lot of parity in college football this year. And right now, we see teams that are ranked in the top 10, teams that are ranked in the top 25, going to the wire with other teams. So I love what we're seeing from college football in 2021, Fitz.
It's the college football show presented by AT&T 5G. Again, Harry Douglas, Jason Fitz. If you're watching us anywhere, you can watch us everywhere. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, the ESPN app, all of it, every place you want to go. And you can authenticate if you're watching the app. Stick here all night long to watch your college football. Let's get straight to the big game that we were all talking about today. Arkansas, Texas A&M. There's 2:25 left in this game, and this has been a courageous effort. I say courageous, I understand, by KJ Jefferson, the quarterback for Arkansas, who looked great in the first half, got injured in the third quarter, has been in and out. Arkansas has given A&M everything they can handle. They're up 20-10, 10 minutes to go in this game. It was my upset pick of the week, but I got to ask you, Harry Douglas, is Arkansas for real?
Are they for real? You hear that? You hear that? I got the belt. You want to know what? Arkansas did not tell you to stop playing with Arkansas. All they do with the hardest schedule in college football is take teams to the woodshed. Every week they go out there and play. Yes, they're for real. And guess who they have next week?
Georgia.
They have the Georgia Bulldogs. So that matchup next week is going to be unbelievable. I love what I'm seeing from KJ Jefferson. I love what I'm seeing from head coach Sam Pittman. Kendall Browse, the offensive coordinator, putting this offense in positions to be successful. Traylon Burks, phenomenal wide receiver, gonna do some good things for an NFL team when it comes to the NFL draft. But not only that, this defense of Arkansas is playing lights out. See ball, get ball. That's the mentality that they have.
Arkansas has been by far the better team in this game. Now, Texas A&M came in with their backup quarterback. I will say some credit there, but we are learning a lot about Harry Douglas's dad
playing
at this
around
point, or mom,
with the Arkansas Razorbacks.
It was actually my mom was always the one that was the punisher in my house, and she used a wooden pizza paddle. That was her thing. Never a belt. It was a pizza paddle. Let me see. I don't make pizza at home.
I love this team because they're gritty, they're tough, they're well coached. And I want to give credit to Sam Pittman and the job he's done with that program.
Yeah, well, credit's only going to keep coming for the Razorbacks if they hang on and win this. We will keep you updated. But in the meantime, also, Notre Dame took on Wisconsin. A big game here, second quarter, 3rd and 10, game tied at 3. Graham Mertz. It hurts, Mertz, because Cam
have a good day. That's a great job by that corner, bad job by that receiver. The corner jumped the route, interception, Notre Dame scores.
Picking it up later, Mertz finds Kendrick Pryor for the 8-yard touchdown. Game tied to 10 in a defensive battle.
Great job. The receiver on the inside picking for his outside guy, touchdown, Wisconsin.
Scary moment here on 1st and 10. Jack Cohn, sack, comes off the field, hobbled. Unfortunately, we had such a storyline about Jack Cohn and this being his time, but it became not about him anymore. At that point, it became about backup quarterback action. But I'm telling you, when Pine got in, things felt different. Now, this is a negative highlight, obviously. Sacked by Rodis Johnson, causes a fumble. Wisconsin recovers it here. But now we pick it up. After Wisconsin takes the lead, Chris Tyree does something we haven't seen in 122 games.
This play changed the game.
I mean, it's a beautiful touchdown return, right?
This play changed the entire football game today.
See the energy that came from that. By the way, huge kudos on the setup on that return. Now we pick it up here. Pine finds Austin Jr. for the 16-yard tutty.
I'm trying to figure out why has this kid been riding the Pine. I think Pine, yes, that's his last name, should have been playing all along from what I've seen today.
Well, 1,000%. The energy was different. We'll get to that in a second. Mertz picked off by Jack Kaiser, took it 66 yards to the house for a touchdown. A game that was close going into the fourth quarter. Once Wisconsin played jump around, they basically had to apologize from that point on. The final score on this, as Brian Kelly passes Knute Rockne as the winningest head coach in program history, Notre Dame wins this game 41-13. That's right, 40. It was a 3-point game going into the fourth quarter. Graham Mertz melted down in the fourth quarter. Wisconsin did not have an answer, and realistically, this became about Pine. And I want to give him a ton of credit. You're talking about a recruit out of Connecticut that is playing for them that looked like the little guy we all expected would be overwhelmed by the moment. Harry, he wasn't. I mean, he came in and the energy was different from the entire team. Notre Dame played with a different pace, with a different urgency. Guys were getting back to the ball on routes. It was amazing to see the difference in Notre Dame when Jack Cohn wasn't the quarterback because of injury.
Well, and one of the things that Brian Kelly did is when he came into the football game, he passed the football. He didn't just say, I'm going to hand this ball off to these running backs and let them do the work for me. He trusted Pine. He delivered the football to his receivers on time, in route, and that was good to see today. Now, the kid he has ice in his veins. And we were talking about his feet earlier. He didn't have happy feet in the pocket. His feet were still. He was comfortable. He was confident. And he showed up when his team needed him the most.
Yeah, go back and watch some of that. And Drew Pine, backup quarterback, most of us came into the day not knowing much about. The number of times that he was set and then moved his hips to reset his feet to throw the ball perfectly was a wonder to watch. We mentioned Brian Kelly and the excellence. I want to give Coach a little bit of love here. Look at the all-time winningest head coaches in Notre Dame history, because we talk a lot about the failings of Notre Dame in the playoffs. But realistically, Lou Holtz, Knute Rockne, Brian Kelly's won more games than all of them.
That's great company, and one of the things I can say about Brian Kelly is that he has been consistent at Notre Dame. Our ESPN colleague Mike Golick had an opportunity to go play for Brian Kelly, but he has been consistent, and it's all about consistency at this league, at any league, I should say. But for Wisconsin today, man, offensively, they were like 1 for 14 on third downs. The defense for Wisconsin, they're probably going over to the offense right now, upset, because it's only so much you can do. Jim Leonard, the defensive coordinator there, a guy who played in the National Football League, is doing a great job with that defense. Now, that offense for Wisconsin needs to be a lot better. 5 turnovers today, 4 interceptions by Graham Mertz, and it's coming back to see, did Wisconsin make the right decision by letting Mertz be the quarterback and not Cohen? Didn't look like it today.
Well, in the meantime, I want to quickly catch up. Clemson has scored a touchdown on their first possession in overtime. They're up 21-14. NC State now has it and has to answer with the touchdown. We all know how it works at this point, so we'll let you know what happens there. In the meantime, the number 2 team in all the land took the field against Vandy. Georgia taking on Vanderbilt. First drive of the game. We start with some warm-ups here. First drive of the game, jet sweep to Brock Bowers for a 12-yard touchdown run. You love this kid, Harry.
Yes, I do. He's a newfound weapon for the Georgia Bulldogs. Tight end Brock Bowers, freshman.
Yeah, we see it again here, because next offensive possession, 3rd and 8. Brock Bowers bows down to the end zone. Georgia up 14-0.
Simple little sail route, corner route to the sidelines. Got to make that tackle. Can't let them go in and score right there.
3 minutes left in the first quarter. Right, the first quarter. McConkey gets the reverse, runs it in up untouched to take the 35-0 lead after the first quarter. Second half, now 38-0. Daniels again says, hey, Bowers, you want in on the fun? Bow, wow, wow, yippee-yo, yippee, yay! Touchdown. I don't know what I just did. 4 receptions, 69 yards, 2 touchdowns receiving, and a rushing touchdown in this game. This one was over before it started. Georgia wins 62-0 in a game that wasn't that close. 62-0. Now, I get it. It's Vanderbilt. I get it. I just need a second. And we'll get to look. At the end of the day, the SEC needs Vandy for one reason: graduation rate, right? They should just turn around and make a trade. They should trade Memphis, because maybe Memphis gives a damn about the athletics. And the great thing is I can go off about Vandy football here and be sure of one thing. Nobody's going to tweet me, because they have no fans left. Why? Because they are a garbage program at this point. I'm doing it. You know what? I'm taking the helmet away. It's here after 20 years in Nashville. I don't have a favorite college football team, but you know what? Vandy, 20 years in Nashville. Nashville's my city, one of my cities. Well, I got another city, and it's Vegas, right? It's Vegas. I'm taking UNLV. UNLV. Like, think about that. I'm not replacing Vandy with Georgia. I'm not even replacing Vandy with a good team. I'm saying, hey, UNLV that just lost a couple of weeks ago by like 17 million points and then lost last night to Fresno, that UNLV team gets this. Vandy, you're done. I'm out. I'm out.
Oh, he's upset.
I'm out. If you don't, look, I don't have a favorite team, but I can tell you this. It's easy not to care about Vandy when Vandy doesn't care about themselves.
Very upset. But I don't mind you doing that because Vandy has been non-existent for I don't know how long. But for the Georgia Bulldogs, they're making a case of being the number one team in the nation. They keep playing like this. The next few weeks, they have Arkansas next week, a big game. If they beat the Arkansas Razorbacks, I think they have, enough on their resume to be the number one team in the country over Alabama.
I'm just saying, I'm not sure that Miami had a tougher opponent with Central Connecticut today than Georgia had with Vandy. I'm just throwing all sorts of shade. It's not going anywhere. In the meantime, just getting you updated. 2nd and goal now for NC State. They still trail in that game by 7 in overtime. We'll see how that goes. Let's get to the next highlight rip on the reel, and that's getting some love to Penn State. Villanova taking on Penn State. First quarter, no score. Sean Clifford finds a particular person that you are a fan of.
Why am I not surprised? Jahan Dotson, their playmaker, their big-time weapon. Give them the ball, great things are going to happen.
What'd you see on the route?
One-on-one, outside leverage with the corner. Don't need to make a move, just run straight, put your foot in the ground, go to the post, make sure you secure the catch, touchdown, and then look at your hands like this is what I'm made to do.
Later in the game, Clifford finds Parker Washington. Parker turns on the burners. Rubbling, stumbling, bubbling.
There goes that seam route. Throw it to the seam, throw a dart. Let your playmaker make the plays.
Third quarter, Clifford looks for the screen.
Uh-oh.
Broken play, Clifford starts to scramble.
Scramble drill.
He runs about like Clifford the dog, though. That's not his strength. But Keandre Lambert-Smith goes in for the 83-yard touchdown. Swigging his foot, he's going for the booty.
They look like Villanova right there.
24-3 is the score at that point. Later in the third, now we're just having fun. Clifford sits back there and says, you know what? I would like another touchdown. 23-yarder. 4 touchdown passes at this point. A really amazing moment for them, by the way. They had 4 touchdowns that were 50 or more yards in this game. Like, that's just, they were scoring from wherever they wanted, whenever they wanted, however they wanted.
And I just think Sean Clifford is getting more comfortable in this offense. Now, I understand that he's been there for a while already, but I think he's being more comfortable in this offense, making the plays, being efficient, knowing who to get the football to, his playmakers, so they can do their thing and make plays and score touchdowns. And most importantly, don't lose us the football game. Now, I do still feel like the run game needs to be better, and Sean Clifford has to be a part of that run game to make it go and make it thrust even farther. But moving down the line, what do you think about this Penn State team?
I mean, that's a real question, right? Because we'll wait till later in the show for me to reveal my top 4 and see what Harry Douglas thinks. But in the meantime, I mean, Penn State's got to be looking at it saying, hey, this has turned into our year. By the way, I want to get you updated. NC State has scored a touchdown in overtime. The kick is up. The kick is good. And we are now headed to double overtime in Clemson, NC State. I hesitated to say anything was good because they've missed 3 field goals today. So you never know how it's going to go. Headed to double overtime. When it comes to Penn State, I mean, the Big Ten, we get so lost in the conversation. It has to be Ohio State and nobody else.
Yeah.
Well, if I'm sitting around and I'm Penn State and I'm Iowa, I'm looking around saying, hey, there's a path right now. There's a lane that gets me to the college football playoff. And I think what's impressive for Penn State is that they came out a little slow in this game. I think a little bit of a hangover from the whiteout sort of experience. And then they turned it on. Once they turned it on, they were unstoppable. I mean, Penn State is putting everything together, and their defense is particularly well coached. So I like this team.
Well, I like Penn State because you have the playmakers offensively, defensively, and on special teams to be in the top 4. Yes, I said top 4, Fitz. Not top 5, not top 6. They had the signature wins over Wisconsin and over Auburn. Yes, a SEC school. So looking ahead, when we look at this Penn State schedule, where do you think they can make the most noise at?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm looking at Penn State realistically and saying their path is really squarely in front of them. In fact, I think they have, with the signature win, I think they have the ability to actually win a game and still make, or lose a game and still make the college football playoff. I mean, if they go in with 1 loss, they're still going to be a playoff team because of the way we're seeing the entire college football world go. That's one of the benefits. Like, for a year that feels so unpredictable, and we're seeing it today, for a year that feels so absolutely unpredictable, one thing we can be sure of is 1 loss is not going to kick you out of it. Speaking of a loss, A&M just took a loss to Arkansas. Final score 20-10. Importantly, that means they're going to upset pick right this week. So here's the Penn State schedule coming up in front of you. And when you look at this, I mean, obviously, they've got the Iowa game coming up. That's a big one. Ohio State, I think they match up really well against. Michigan, they've got the equity in front of them to make a case to even be a one-loss team that goes to the playoffs.
And I'll say this: when you look at Arkansas, you look at they have the hardest schedule in the country. You look at Penn State; it's not like theirs are much easier, right? You look at all these teams. I think they can afford a loss and still get an opportunity to be into the college football playoffs because of the strength of their schedule. How many ranked opponents that they have on there? They still have number 5 Iowa, still have number 10 Ohio State, number 19 Michigan, number 20 Michigan State. So if they can continue to win games and only have one loss, or who says they even have to lose? If they win all these games, it's a no-brainer. They're going to be in.
I mean, if they get through that gauntlet, they're in no matter what. Let's get you caught up. Again, we're in double overtime now in the unexpected action here. As NC State is in double overtime with the now consistently disappointing Clemson. I can say that, and I think everybody would agree with it. Here's a little bit of the action from earlier in this game and how we got here. And when you start to look at the overall package, first quarter, 2nd and 10, DJ Uiagalelei finds Justin Ross. Woo!
That's a heck of a play by both of those guys.
Oh,
DJ
so
Uiagalelei scrambling, finding Justin Ross, your playmaker, your big-time guy. It turns into a scramble drill. Go deep. I'm going to find you. Make sure you get the foot down, secure the catch, touchdown Clemson.
Yeah, a lot of familiarity, too, there between the two of them. I really like that. Next, receiver you like a lot.
I like him a lot.
Amika Emeze, 9-yard touchdown here.
This young man is strong. He's physical. He attacks the football at the point of attack.
Now we're picking it up Devin Leary to Devin Carter. Devin to Devin, 12-yard touchdown. NC State up 14-7. Will Shipley, though, says, hey, give me the ball.
Right now, Will Shipley is the only thing that's been consistent for this Clemson offense. Last week, he had a good game. You see him with the rushing touchdown right there today.
Late in the fourth quarter, you see the Leary to Trent Penix for the 11-yard gain. Looked like this thing was going to be there for them. They even got in good position thanks to a questionable offsides call. 4th and 7, going for the 39-yard, should be an easy field goal.
You have one job. You have one job. Make the kick so you can win the game. You have one job.
And I will excuse, he had 2 other misses, one from 51 and one from 53. I'll excuse those all day long. When you miss from 39 with the game on the line, now you have to just acknowledge that your kicker's fried. Like, your kicker at this point is in his own head. So that's how we got to where we are now. Now, there's a ruling on the field pending review at this point of an NC State touchdown. That would be in double overtime, but it is the first possession in double overtime. So there will be the opportunity to answer. And if there's anything I can tell you, it's that we're watching just like you are. It's a college football show presented by AT&T 5G. I give you my word. As things happen, we will keep you updated on it as it happens. So this is all sorts of suspense. But realistically, there's a question here of how we got here. Because most years you could look at something like this and say, okay, NC State just got one of those days against Clemson. But how many weeks in a row are we going to see a Clemson offense that looks absolutely inept before we look around and say, hey, guess what? Clemson's just not all that great this year.
Well, the offense has been non-existent. You look at the third downs. They're 2 for 10 on third downs. When was the last time we heard of a Clemson offense being 2 for 10 on third downs? The quarterback play is not consistent. The only thing I think right now that's consistent is their run game, and they just found that last week. The offensive line play has not been great. So Clemson right now is banking on their defense. Their defense is doing a heck of a job. They just need the help from their offense.
So we've got a big play happening right here, and the touchdown has been confirmed. NC State now going for 2. They are up 27-21 on the first half of double overtime. So as he drops back, he's scrambling. They're looking for somebody to try and make the 2-point conversion happen. Nothing there. So it's now 27-21. Clemson will get the ball back with the opportunity to obviously match that touchdown. We will keep you updated on it as it happens. But there's also football action happening tonight in the way of West Virginia taking on Oklahoma, the game you can watch on ABC. They're filing in. You see the action's going to be great. Obviously, Norman's going to be fired up. Holly Rowe is in Norman. She's doing sideline reporting for the game and was kind enough to send us this report from the scene.
Welcome to Norman, Oklahoma for the Big 12 opener for the Oklahoma Sooners. Now, they have been close to really breaking it open, but their coach, Lincoln Riley, says they're just a tick off on their offense really starting to click and score points like we're used to seeing from Oklahoma. But Spencer Rattler, he's warming up right behind me. Spencer promised us on a phone call this week that they're about ready to break it open. He said, I feel good. Like, I'm just trying to get chemistry with my guys. There's a lot of new skill players that he has not played with before. He said, we're going to break it open. Let's see if they're true to their word tonight. They got a feisty West Virginia Mountaineer team. We'll see if they can break it open. And look like Oklahoma's put up some points, put up some yards, and open off the Big 12 season in a great way.
Thanks, Holly. As always, you are the best. West Virginia versus number 4 Oklahoma tonight. Remember, you can watch that on ABC, but you don't even have to flip over. If you're watching us in the ESPN app, all you have to do is authenticate. Tell them who your provider is or your streaming service, and then bang, you can stay right in the app and it'll immediately take you there. That's legitimately how I watch college football all the time. Hope you'll consider doing the same. So Oklahoma can watch the rest of the action throughout the course of the day, Harry, and say, man, we've seen some big teams struggle. We've watched name brands today against teams that we spent all week saying maybe there's a chance. Well, this week hasn't been the maybe there's a chance. This week has been the holy hell there's really a chance week. So Oklahoma, I mean, we got to ask, is this going to be the week that they finally put it together and look the way we expect Oklahoma to look?
I don't know. It's still going to be the question. Are we going to get the Oklahoma team that we've seen against Nebraska, the Oklahoma team that we've seen against Tulane? We don't know yet. We do know when Oklahoma hits on all cylinders, they're a force to be reckoned with. But we just don't know what we're going to get right now. And it all banks on coaching and playing by your stars. Your stars have to be stars. Your coaching has to be up on point.
Well, you said stars have to be stars. And, you know, it's funny because as we watch some of those stars warm up right now in Norman, I think you're looking at Marvin Mims and you're looking at production, right? We know that he can catch the ball from anywhere, and we know he's got tremendous speed. I also, though, have to look at the quarterback position specifically because I was listening to ESPN Radio this week. By the way, check out Spain and Fitz, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday on ESPN Radio. But I was listening to some of our experts say, hey, Spencer Rattler isn't Jalen Hurts. Spencer Rattler isn't Baker Mayfield. And that's okay. But that's not what we expected. Like, we expected Spencer Rattler to be a beast coming in. And that next level of development hasn't happened. So, I mean, are you putting that on Spencer Rattler at this point as we see Benito also warming up? Are you putting that on QB1? Or are we putting that on the wonder coach of Lincoln Riley that every time a job is open in the NFL, we're told is going to be the next great hire?
From what I'm seeing, it's some Spencer Rattler, but I think it's more so on Lincoln Riley, his head coach. He's the offensive guru. He's the guy that's supposed to get his quarterbacks right. Now, one of the things that I've seen on numerous of occasions from Spencer Rattler about watching film, especially games that they have not won and struggled in, is reading coverages, deciphering what the defense is doing. And then when teams drop 8, that's when Oklahoma on offense really, really struggle. They struggle because they're used to hitting the home run plays and they want the big plays. But, hey, like he did the first game against Tulane, you had to run it back in the flat. Instead of just trying to go for the home run and throwing an interception, put that little deposit in the bank. Take the little things that you can get. But Spencer Rattler has to be better, but Lincoln Riley has to be better as well.
I think this comes down largely also to the advantage they're going to get being in Norman. As much as we've talked about some of these games, like, again, NC State, Clemson going on as we speak, as much as we've talked about that, that game's in NC State, and it looks like that game has just come to a close. NC State has just upset Clemson in double overtime. It's 27-21 is your final score. We'll get you all the highlights, all the info you need to know. 27-21, Clemson has just lost the second game of the year. But when you talk about Lincoln Riley and you talk about Oklahoma, they're going to be in Norman. And that makes a huge difference. The end of the Clemson game was such a big deal because they had that crowd there. I'm looking at Lincoln Riley saying, hey, you got home field, right? You got that home advantage. You got the ease of offense. What does this offense need to do differently in play calling in your mind?
I'll say you look at simple things like we're going to show some plays right here. Lincoln Riley last year against Iowa State. Now on the goal line, you have cover zero. Cover zero, you have no safety help. Everyone's on the island. They decide to run the football. You cannot run the football against cover zero because you have more defenders in the box than you do outside covering. 2 years ago, 2019, Jalen Hurts, the quarterback against Baylor. Cover zero again. They decide to run the football. You have to pass the ball in those situations. So that's when I talk about coaching, those are kind of adjustments that I mean. And the worst thing about that is that the offense is looking to the sideline for the play call against those coverages. So that tells me that Lincoln Riley is making that call. Now, what I need from the quarterback position is to override that. I see cover 0. I'm a veteran enough. I've been playing football long enough to change the play at the line of scrimmage and get us into the correct pass play so we can defeat this cover 0 and score points.
Is there a difference? I mean, you played with some smart quarterbacks, right? Like, is there a difference in, like, I got my legs under me? At what point does Spencer Rattler, in your mind, have the confidence to look at Lincoln Riley and say, no, coach, I got this?
Well, they should have that relationship, especially coming to this season if he's on the Heisman watch list, if he's looking to be a top 5 NFL draft pick. So your quarterback should have that free range to be able to change a play or even go to the head coach in the play caller and say, hey, I think we should do this here. We should do this there. Now, to Lincoln Riley's credit, when they played Iowa State the second time last year in the Big 12 championship game, they countered by bringing a Wildcat quarterback in against that cover 0 and added him to the run game, and they scored a touchdown against cover 0. But you do not want to run the football every time against cover 0. But Spencer Rattler, I'm looking for him to step up even more and make these play calls and not so much look to the sideline for Lincoln Riley to call everything.
All right, let's make our picks. Harry, who you got in this one?
I got Oklahoma. They haven't hit on all cylinders this year. I think this is the first game that they actually do.
Yeah, so I'm also going to take Oklahoma here. If we were picking against the spread, which you can see there's 17.5, I would take West Virginia. But if we're just taking this game straight up, I think it's a closer game than 17.5. That's a little disrespectful to where West Virginia is right now. But I think that Oklahoma is ultimately going to win that game. Again, 7:30 Eastern. That's obviously in just a few minutes. You can authenticate in the app. You can check it out right there. All you have to do is just sign in with your cable provider, and all the Saturday night football that you need, not just that game, but the late nights, it's all there for you in the ESPN app. So we want to get you the highlights from the breaking upset that just happened. Clemson has fallen for the second time this year. We pick it up in the second overtime. Look at this touchdown. Wow. Unbelievable play.
And shout out to Devin Leary, a guy who broke his leg last year, came back and played amazing football right now, was great in this game as well.
DJ Uyunglele tries to make something happen on 4th and 5. Receiver just can't seem to track the ball. And they go ahead.
Well, he had a drop before that, and then I'm going to my best player again. I need you to make that play. It's 4th down. We only have one chance to try to tie this football game. I need you to make that play.
You see that final score, 27-21. Because it was double overtime, NC State, by the new overtime rules, had to go for 2. There's no extra point kicks once you hit second overtime. So 27, they left the door open for Clemson, but Clemson can't even get the first down that they need. They end up losing this game.
This is a big win for Dave Duren and this NC State program. They're taking the momentum that they had last year into this season. And who would have ever thought that Clemson would lose 2 regular season games in 1 year?
And shout out to Devin Leary, who had a spectacular game. I mean, just a spectacular game. A lot of good work by NC State.
Not only them, shout out to their defense for holding that Clemson offense. Now, we understand that this offense is not what it's accustomed to being, but shout out to that NC State defense.
Speaking of offense, Michigan's got a good one. Let's see how they did today against Rutgers. Remember, Rutgers undefeated. We picked this up in the second quarter. Cade McNamara hits Roman Wilson over the middle for a big game. Sets up 1st and goal for the Wolverines. Nice little look there. And then Michigan again with their power run game. Asala Haskins punches it in for a second rushing touchdown of the game here. That increases Michigan's lead to 14-3. 2 Michigan field goals. They take a 20-3 lead at the half. Looked like this was going to be a blowout, but not so fast. No. Rutgers gets in on the fun. They get on the board there with a nice little touchdown pass to Young, 14-yarder. That makes it 20-10. Rutgers later able to get a field goal. Like, it looked like Rutgers was going to find their way back into this game. Turns out, as much fight as they had in them, they didn't have enough. Michigan forces a late turnover on a great defensive play. I thought Rutgers might have a chance of running back down the field and getting something done, but it doesn't happen. Final score in this one, Michigan 20, Rutgers 13. As always, rushing the football was important, but this Rutgers defense seemed like they were up for the challenge.
Well, Greg Schiano, a guy who's done it at a high level at the NFL level and the college level. The last time Rutgers came into a game undefeated, it was so bad for me. They beat my Louisville Cardinals. Yes, a team I was a part of. On a Thursday night, they stormed the field. So shout out to Greg Schiano that he's actually building his program back to what he wanted to be. But for Michigan, rushing the football with Kerm and Haskins did a great job. But McNamara did a great job today doing it with his arm when the run game wasn't so efficient as they were previous weeks.
I really like the McNamara point there. You're right, because I've been saying repeatedly that Michigan is built well to beat Ohio State and to represent the Big Ten because they are running the football so well. But today we got really quality play from McNamara, efficient play, let's say it that. And once Michigan was out to a big lead, felt like maybe they pulled they kind of pulled back on the gas a little bit. I thought that was a mistake. But Michigan was better in this game than I gave them credit for being. I think they really showed up and showed out for it. They beat a good Rutgers football team. So a lot of love for Michigan and where they stand in all of it. College Football Show presented by AT&T 5G. We've got a little bit of Iowa love, speaking of the Big Ten, that we want to get you next on the highlight rip. As Iowa came into to this game ranked number 5 against Colorado State, and they struggled. I need the score to be, the score is 24-14. Hear me. This was not an easy win for Iowa. We turned it on in the conference room as a bunch of us were watching games, and we were saying, holy cow, what the hell is wrong with Iowa?
And it's crazy because this Colorado State team is a team who lost to you got rid of Vandy, you at UNLV. Your old team, the Vanderbilt Commodores, they lost to these guys early in the year. So for Iowa to struggle in this game was pretty sad for the Big Ten and for this Iowa team. They took a step backwards today. But like we said, if they were playing a team that had better athletes, they would have got blown out today.
And the real question is, do I need, because I've got Vandy hoodies and some Vandy shirts just accumulated. You live in Nashville for 20 years, kind of, you get those. I got to throw all those away now. I'm done. I've denounced. That means I'm going to have to.
You need some gear?
I need some UNLV swag.
You want me to take care of you?
I got you. Take care of me. That's my open plea. It wouldn't be a Saturday if I'm not pleading for free stuff. All right, let's get to Iowa State, who also came into this game, this day, I should say, a favorite against Baylor. Iowa State kicking off after a field goal. Baylor, look at this return. Tristan Ebner, 98 yards. Beautiful work, right?
My boy Scooby told me about Ebner when we was watching the games, and he did not let us down. Touchdown, special teams touchdown. That young man knows how to read blocks, and he's a special teams guru when it comes to the return game.
And by the way, Scooby, a name you're going to be hearing a lot around here. You're going to love him. In the meantime, Iowa State answers quickly after Breece Hall says, you know what? This was a breeze. See what I did? 28-23, they cut the Baylor lead at that point. 28 seconds to play now. Iowa State down 31-23. Brock Purdy tosses the touchdown pass. Look at that. Oh, so Purdy. It never gets old. I do it every single week. Now, we've got the two-point conversion game. He's trying. But, boy, they sniffed it out. They knew exactly what was coming. There was nothing to be had there.
Yes, they did.
Baylor able to get the upset win. All of a sudden, 31-29, and Baylor turns around and says, no, we're undefeated, 4-0, and Iowa State becomes yet another team on this colossal Saturday that finds a way to fall. So, big loss for them.
Great job by Gary Bohannon distributing the football today. But what about Dave Aranda, a guy who had that LSU defense when they won a national championship, playing lights-out football? He goes over to Baylor when Matt Rule goes to the Carolina Panthers. Now he has these guys undefeated in the Big 12, and everyone better take notice because Dave Aranda is that guy.
Speaking of LSU taking on Mississippi State. Coach O taking on Mike Leach. If there's anything we know about that, we'll get a soundbite at some point. Third quarter, Max Johnson hits Keishon Boutte. Swiggity swooty, he's going for that Boutte.
It's just something about LSU and these receivers. They always found him.
Yeah, that's because they all want to go play there, too. Johnson throws later deep to a wide open, and I mean wide open Trey Palmer. Trey Palmer turns around, lays down, eats a picnic, and then rolls into the end zone.
Blown coverage, but if y'all know the name Max Johnson, yes, the son of NFL standout Brad Johnson.
Look at that. NFL standout, also Super Bowl winner against my beloved Raiders. Too soon, I don't want to talk about it. Johnson hits Cole Taylor here. Two Bulldog defenders collide. Taylor with the score. Let's see, look at this. Oh, sorry, man. My bad.
Got to be more careful.
All right, under 2 minutes to go. Mississippi State down 28-17. Will Rogers finds Jaquavius Marks for 16 yards on that tutty. Bulldogs convert the two-point conversion. That puts them down 28-25. Look at this onside kick. For a second, we were yelling and screaming, oh, my God, they did it. But somebody forgot the rules. You're not allowed to be the first team to touch it if it doesn't go 10 yards. Mississippi State shoved into it. Smart play by LSU. Got somebody in front of you, hasn't gone 10 yards, throw them at the ball. I thought it was a great play by LSU to get that done. Coach O gets a very necessary win. LSU has been under some heat by me. I'll be the first to admit it.
Me as well.
And I expect big things from LSU. If you're going to sell that recruiting classes are going to make you immediately better. So did this win change any of your mindset around LSU?
No, I think Coach O is playing for his job right now because when you look at this LSU program, these guys have the athletes all across and up and down the football field. It's all about coaching now. And we do see back when the LSU won a national championship in 2019, you just had stars all over that football field. Now you actually have to coach these guys. You have to coach these guys up because you might not have so many stars in particular areas, right? So now it's all about coaching. Can you get it done? If LSU would have lost his football game today, I think Coach O it may have been fired.
Yeah, I think it would have leaned into that direction, only because I always say in sports that one of the main objectives is eliminating the yeah, but. And so if you're an LSU fan and you're now fed up with the fact that LSU hasn't been as good as you expected, it's easy to say, yeah, but it was Brady and Burrow that won a championship.
Luke Fickell?
I think that that's the yeah, but Luke Fickell's sitting around. So for me, for LSU to come out to look explosive, to get really quality quarterback play, for LSU to come out and play a complete game against Mississippi State, I think
Fickell
was important. He's still not buying. And you know what? On a day like this where I might see, a former LSU player in the halls at ESPN, I'm going to be all pro LSU because they're bigger than I am.
And
all
look,
right.
check this out. No, look, he's up there in Cincinnati. No, I want to be here. I want to be in Cincinnati. Looking at that scoreboard, is LSU winning? Are they going to lose? Maybe I can get this job if they lose. But right now, I'm committed to Cincinnati. Every
coach wants to be where they are until you have that moment, like that mafia moment where they they write the number on the piece of paper and they slide it across. Let me tell you something. That number on the piece of paper that gets slid across at LSU is much bigger than it is. As much as I love Cincinnati, give me Grater's ice cream all day long. LSU got them dollars. All right. Let's move on to some of the best of the day. Let's get some music rolling and some mooing going. It's time for Holy Cow. That's right. It's a little banjo action. You're not getting that anywhere else. You got the cow hanging out with you. You got my little feet not touching the ground, but I should note my pink flamingo shoes. They are fire.
I see your small fry.
You're welcome. Small fry, thank you. I am losing weight. All right, this is where we grade our favorite plays. Harry, Virginia Tech's Trey Turner makes this impressive deep catch. I got to get your grade on it, but first, analyze what you see.
What I see right now is a guy going to get the football at his highest point is what we're taught as wide receivers. So I'm going to give this score, I'm going to give it an 83 just because in my eyes it's routine. But
it's routine. He had to reach behind his body. What are you? All right, fine. Well, that's fine.
Don't you question a wide receiver. He gets an 83.
You are very up and down in your rankings.
Okay.
Like everybody knows that I am a tough grader. So let's see here. We'll get a little Penn State love. Penn State's Tariq Castro-Fields. Look at this. You were going to flip. He breaks up the play, but he does it by going hot tomato. I don't know why I went hot tomato instead of hot potato. I'm going to live to regret that. It just slipped out. Again, I'm eating healthy. Look, that play up in the air, and he says, you get it. Look at that.
And I love this play because it reminded me of the Legion of Boom when Richard Sherman used to bat the ball to, do you know who the safety was?
Earl Thomas.
Earl Thomas.
Yeah,
there you go, Fitz.
Earl
Thomas, so he can pick the football off. Shout out to Castro-Fields, man.
The score on this one, I'm feeling glorious. You can tell my Raiders are undefeated. I'm in a happy mood. 90. Giving it a 90.
Wow, okay.
I know, I'm generous today.
Thought you was a tough grader. Maybe not.
Maybe I'm just in a happy spot. Annabelle's undefeated. All right, let's go to the next play. Notre Dame here. Incomplete pass towards the Wisconsin sideline. Look who makes the catch. Former NFL safety, Wisconsin defensive coordinator Jim Leonhard with the snag.
Who's doing a great job with that defense?
One of his players knocked it loose, though. He wasn't happy about that at all. Got to squeeze the ball in, Coach.
I'm going to give this play an 80. Only because the defender, which happens to be his player, knocked the football out, so I'm going to run him until he can't possibly run anymore.
I just
catches cramps.
I just told a coach to squeeze the ball in like I know what I'm talking about. Let's go next. The NC State. We saw this play earlier. Got to see it again. Emeka Emezi with the unreal catch in the end zone. See if we get another angle on this, Harry, because if you notice, he turns his whole body around, gets it in.
This is a great job by him fighting through contact, big physical wide receiver, quarterback back shouldering him, getting his legs in, touchdown. I love this kid. He's playing some big time football for NC State.
I'm going to give this score. You're not going to like this as a wide receiver. I feel like the helmet actually helped him. He just used his face mask. That's an 83.
83?
Yeah, I just like being tough on these just to tick off Harry Douglas.
Listen, you are a tough grader.
All he did, he squeezed the ball in against his face mask. Face mask really deserves all the credit on that one.
Wow,
all right, let's get to some Miami love here.
Holy cow.
Romello Brinson goes up. Look at this one, Harry. What are you seeing here?
Oh, man. What do I see? I see a hell of a play by that young man right there. I like that, Romello. Shout out to Romello. So you know what I'm going to give this play? Nothing but a 99.
Oh, Whoa!
A one-hand grab like that? A 99. I got 99 problems catching the football. Is it one?
Wow. See, I like the way you changed it up there, so we can sing that on there without getting in trouble. Last up, Northern Colorado getting some love here. Xander Gagnon, look at this, blows up just comes in. And, there's no nice way to say that. You got knocked out.
That's how you're supposed to run the defend the zone read right there. That's how you defend it. I'm going to the mesh point, and I'm hitting the running back and the quarterback.
He got knocked out. All right, you hit two players at once like that. You know what score you get from me on this day? You get a $100.
Are you kidding me right now?
Come on. He tackled two players at once.
You gave that a 100?
Yeah, he gave that 100.
You're all over the place, man.
You know what?
What did you drink today?
Not enough. You know that. I'm just saying.
We'll save that for later.
Okay, we'll get to the drinking portion of it later. All right. It's a college football show presented by AT&T 5G. Those were some of the best plays of the day. He's Harry Douglas. I'm Jason Fitz. Arkansas 20-10 is your final score. Arkansas beats Texas A&M. This is an upset. This is an upset a lot of us saw coming because Texas A&M was a little shorthanded. But I don't want to take anything away from this Arkansas defense that looked absolutely spectacular. Arkansas has done the unthinkable. They've set themselves up for an epic matchup against Georgia next week, and they've also turned Texas A&M versus Alabama into a must-win game for the Aggies, or their season is done. Think about that from one game.
And I want to give a shout-out to these players for Arkansas buying into the system of Sam Pittman. But I also want to give shout-out to the offensive coordinator, Kendall Browse, doing a great job. Barry Odom, D.C., and that defense, those players. We had Catalon on us on the wrap-up.
On the wrap-up, yep.
Right? And what did I say? Man, you look like you just take your lunch pail and your hard hat and you ready to just play ball.
But
I asked him about the schedule. He didn't care nothing about no schedule, that it was the hardest in college football. All he wanted to go out there and his teammates do is just win and play winning football and be physical doing it. That's what they're showing the world. That's what they're showing college football. They're in the SEC. Sam Pittman and his football team, Arkansas Razorbacks. Yes, I said it. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with. And if Georgia doesn't watch out, they might be going down next week, too.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that interview on the wrap-up, which, by the way, comes on at 11 o'clock tonight. Same place you're watching us now from 11 to 11:30. We capture some of the late-night action. We talk to players. And that interview hit me, too, because so much of what he was talking about was, man, we don't care about the noise. This is why I wanted to play in the SEC. This is why I wanted to be here. I want to play against the best to prove I'm the best. Nobody really cares about us, but we care about each other. Like, he had all those messages. And you hear it sometimes from players, and you don't buy it. Sometimes you hear it from players, and you can just tell it's in their bones.
Correct.
And ever since I watched that, I thought, man, this is an Arkansas defense that is playing different. Like, it's not as simple as see ball, get ball. It's this unity to backing up each other at every spot. The gang tackling, the way they approach every single thing they do. They play with such a toughness in what they do defensively. I just really believe in it.
I think that's a part of culture,
yeah.
Right? Football teams being on the same page, having unity, being unified, being a cohesive unit, offensively, defensively, special teams. That's about the culture that Sam Pittman has created there in Arkansas. And now, let me tell you why this game next week is going to be important. You know where Sam Pittman came from? He used to be the O-line coach at the University of Georgia. Last year, Arkansas had Georgia early on and on the brinks until the defense took over in that game, and then they finally blew Arkansas out in the second half. So that game is going to be a big one come next week.
Yeah, health is going to be big for Arkansas at the quarterback position. Let's get you on the other big game everybody was watching today. Make sure you get this one. Notre Dame taking on Wisconsin. Again, this one picks up with the scary moment. Jack Cohn sacked, comes off the field, hobbled. He returned to the sideline, but his day was over. So at that point, it became about Drew Pine.
Looked like somebody else going to have Jack Cohen on that Pine.
I mean, it feels like it, right? I mean, you can pick this game up. Pine finds Kevin Austin Jr. for the 16-yard touchdown. This thing was throughout about a change, and a palpable change, because I wanted to use the word palpable tonight in the show, so you're welcome. It was a real change you could feel on the field in the energy, in the dynamic, in the control, in the awareness. It all came from the quarterback position in Notre Dame. This was a 3-point game going into the fourth quarter that turned out to be an absolute slaughter of 41-13. Part of that, as you saw in the highlight, was Graham Mertz melting down in the fourth quarter. But Harry, I just keep thinking, like, I don't know how to unsee what I just saw from Drew Pine, who absolutely he was 10 times better than I expected. Looks like a tiny little guy playing back there.
Yep.
But his control of the offense and knowing where he was going to go with the football, seeing the way he used his feet, not to run the football, but to position himself, to get in the right spots, to throw the ball accurately, the way he was using his eyes to convince secondaries to lean certain directions. I was astounded to see that level of work from a quarterback that we knew nothing about coming into the game.
Well, he was cool, calm, and collected, and that's what you want, not only from your quarterback, but especially from your backup quarterback in a big-time matchup, in a big-time game that you need him to perform in to go out and win. Now, one of the things I do think Notre Dame needs to take care of is giving up these sacks. I think Wisconsin had 6 sacks in this ball game, and even one went for a sack fumble. So going forward, next week they play Cincinnati. They cannot have this lackluster performance on the offensive line. They have to be efficient, and they have to get that run game going because they have 2 solid running backs. You can't just be one-dimensional and pass the football. You have to play complementary football, so that run game has to get on board for Notre Dame.
I mean, Cincinnati next week against Notre Dame is looking at this game saying, my God, Cincinnati needed this win to look just like this, because now it gives Cincinnati the opportunity to finally get the check mark on their schedule. Indiana's turned out to not be a great team this year. We know that. But Indiana has now the runway in front of them, I think, if they go undefeated, to actually be in the college football playoff conversation, thanks in part to this Notre Dame win.
And one more thing from this game. Graham Marks missed a lot of throws in this game. Receivers, tight ends, wide open. He did not hit those guys, and it came back to haunt him in the end.
Yeah, he left touchdowns on the table. All right, let's get you looking in now. Tennessee taking on Florida. I'm old enough to remember when this was actually a rivalry everybody couldn't wait for, the Peyton Manning era. You know, there was national championships on the line from the winner of the SEC East every year, just like there is from the West every year now. But Tennessee hopes that they found some people.
And I wanted to see how Florida was going to respond after coming from that close loss to Alabama last week. Are they going to have a lackluster performance? Are they going to be able to step up to the plate and beat this Tennessee Vol team? This is a different team. This is Josh Heupel as the head coach. He's bringing that offense that he used to run, who loves to run a lot of plays, loves to run tempo. Hendon Hooker at the quarterback position, graduate transfer from Virginia Tech. So let's see how this Florida team performs today after that loss last week against Alabama.
Yeah, you're totally right that there's a bit of a how do you shake off what could have been if you're the Gators. And all you can do is just put it behind you and hope you can get another shot at Alabama in the SEC championship game. Like, that's literally all you can do. And when you are home against a Tennessee team that really has only played one team worth a damn this year, they played Pitt. Their other 2 have been cupcakes. So this is a bit of a prove it on both ends to me. It's a prove it for Heupel, who's getting a lot of hype from the Tennessee fan base. It's also a prove it for Florida. You mentioned Hooker. He started 2 for 5, 50 yards and a touchdown early on in this one. Emory Jones in at quarterback, 5 of 7, 39 and a touchdown. So we'll see if any defense shows up on this. But the swamp atmosphere absolutely seems to look like it's perfect.
And I actually grew up a Florida fan. My mom went to UF. My dad's from Gainesville, Florida. I used to eat at Leonardo's that used to be on University. They tore it down. So, no, I know all about Ben Hill, Griffin Stadium. I know about this rivalry. Riedel Anthony, Ike Hilliard, Danny Werfel, Jaquez Green, Steve Spurrier, Jack Jackson, Chris Doran, Eric Rett. I know all about that. Freddie T.
What are you going full Stephen A on me? Just give me a bunch of names? Come on now. It's 10-7. Florida's up. Woo! We've celebrated the good. Now, let's celebrate the bad. How's that for a positive twist? It's time for Bruh, delivered by Pizza Hut. Look at this. We're sitting at the fancy table. We got the pizzas.
We've been doing big things, so we're moving up, man.
All right, we're moving on up. Let's move on up to some of the best of the worst from the day in college football. And they start with Penn State attempting a screen. Villanova is in full. Look at this. Clifford, I mean, trying to get it done, maybe. But then.
Tackle him.
Bruh.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, tackling's hard.
Bruh, you have to be kidding me. Not only did they not hit the screen to the left, the quarterback scrambled, found somebody to the right, and it ends up being a touchdown. Bruh, come on. But not only that, I peeped out something else, Fitz. Bruh, the offensive lineman was down the field.
Oh.
That should have been a penalty. Come on, bruh. I'm bruhing the referee on this one.
Let's bruh Vandy. You're supposed to be the smartest college in America. So how do you not know not to touch this ball at the 2-yard line, Cam Johnson?
Bruh, someone has to coach these young men up. Now, easily he could have stepped out of bounds, then touched that football. It would have been a flag on Georgia. So, bruh, come on. I'm bruhing him. I'm bruhing the coaching staff because everybody should know the rules. Come on, bruh.
I mean, there's just so many bruhs for the entirety of what's been known as Vandy's season. Let's move on next. Got a little Texas action. Henry Columbi finds Loic Fungi. Two Texas defenders collide. They're trying to, they were trying.
Oh, my goodness. Come on, bro. Somebody has to make the play. Did that receiver step out of bounds or was he forced out? Come on, bro.
I mean, you're all over the referees in this edition of Bro. I'm looking at two guys going in and whacking each other.
Come on,
is
bro.
the reason for
Somebody got to make the play. Oh, he laid out his own man.
Well, speaking of plays, let's move on here. Had a little bit of fun here. Whose guy was this? Max Johnson goes deep to wide open Trey Palmer. 58-yard tutty.
Now, come on, bro. You see defenders pointing at each other. You got him. Go backwards. Go here. Go that. Don't think. Know your responsibilities. Come on, bro.
I got him. You got him. I got him. Wait, none of us got him. That's what happened. Let's stick with this game, though. Always fun when we can have some punting action. Mississippi State's Rodney Gross Jr. tries to hurdle the blockers. Gets called for a personal foul in this.
Now, this is crazy.
Up, and
now,
away!
Now, bro, if you wanted to go to track and field, you wanted to high jump, just tell somebody. But come on now.
I mean,
bro, tripping.
We got all sorts of. I mean, the miscues just never stopped in this game. And speaking of miscues, I think we could all of Minnesota. Bowling Green quarterback Matt McDonald ran in for 2 scores. Minnesota's last chance to win the game. Tanner Morgan's pass picked off. This thing never worked for them. Ultimately, I am stunned to be saying that.
You know what, Fitz? Stop it. I'm about to the whole Minnesota team. You had a good outing against Ohio State the first game of the year. Now you come out against Bowling Green and you look like this. I'm burning the entire team. Come on, PJ Fleck.
Well, let's also remember they got paid and they still won the game. Missouri head coach Eli Drinkwitz earlier this week in a press conference said no knock on BC, but he'd rather play a regional rivalry game. Also threw some shade at recruiting in Massachusetts and what that meant to Missouri. Well, maybe you recruit if you win the dang game.
Oh, now I get to this coach. Oh, it's like T.I. Your mouth writing checks that you can't cash.
Well,
Ooh.
It's a double bruh here because, bruh, how you going to go on the field after you beat Missouri? I mean, Boston
I have
College.
A good one for this one. I just talked to Matt Ryan yesterday. He was talking to me about Boston College. I played against Luke Kuechly in the league. Is that what you guys are coaching at Boston College? We stormed the field when we beat Missouri? Missouri?
I mean,
bruh, I'm bruhing every alum from Boston College. Yes, Matt Ryan and Luke Kuechly, I'm bruhing you too.
Well, just for a side note, great name drop. Secondarily, Matt, if you just want to call me, we can be buddies. I'll trash talk Harry for you. That's bruh delivered by Pizza Hut. All right, let's get you a little look in here at Kansas State taking on Oklahoma State. 14-10 right now is the score on this one. Oklahoma State is up on Kansas State. 2 unbeaten teams.
Both of these teams undefeated. I was just about to mention that.
Oh, problems with the snap. And that's what you call a defensive touchdown. That's the sort of moment that
this will drive coaches crazy, right? A simple handoff, a simple quarterback, running back, handoff, exchange, whatever you want to call it, that goes for a touchdown because it's not done properly. This will drive a coach crazy. You wonder why you see a lot of coaches with gray hair? That's why these coaches have gray hair right there.
Especially a game on the road that was close at that point. 21-10 is the current score. Obviously, you can check that out. We've got all the action you ever need on ESPN. Let's get you caught up on the Alabama score as Alabama taking on Southern Miss. I say taking on lightly. We all know that. It doesn't take long for Alabama to get in on the fun here as the opening kickoff. We'll show you this. Currently on the SEC network, by the way. And the opening kickoff is what you'd think. Did he get away with a little hold there? Might have been a little hold.
That's that boy Jameson.
Boy, we're getting a lot of kick returns today. I mean, it's just pretty to watch. I'm just saying.
Boy Jameson.
Look at that. Speaking of Jameson, I think I'm going to need some after this day in college football.
I'll join you.
You don't have to ask me twice. Jameson Williams, 100-yard touchdown return. That's where we are right now. 7-0 was where that started. 14-0 is where we are. This feels like it's going to be a lot like Georgia taking on that other almost football team named Vanderbilt.
I love the simple fact that Nick Saban and Bill O'Brien is getting Jaleel Billingsley more involved. He was in the doghouse earlier when it came to Nick Saban, so now he's out of the doghouse. They're getting him more involved. They're going to need that other element down the line when it comes to beating some of these top teams that they're going to be playing this year.
All right, let's drop in and take a look at some of the wildest, craziest, twisted plays from Week 4, presented by Twisted Tea. I don't like the buckets here every week, and every week you don't let me take them with me. I don't understand what's happening.
I'm thirsty, so I'm going to drink one of these when we get done.
And when we get done, because we have work to do in the meantime. All right, Harry, let's take a look at some of these Twisted Tea drop-in plays. Twisted Play starts with a little bit of Kenny Pickett to Jordan Addison. Addison breaks several tackles. Look at this.
Oh.
Swiggity Spooty. He's going for the booty.
I like that. I like Jordan Addison, but I'm going to have to set them up with some rugby people that I know so they can learn how to form tackle.
I thought it was really nice of Jordan Addison to wear Twisted Tea colors. Got the blue and the yellow. That's good work by him. All right, let's move on here to Virginia Tech. Braxton Burmeister to Trey Turner. Turner with the athletic grab.
Oh my goodness.
Is it just me or did he throw in an extra kick?
He didn't shook the table. My goodness. Look at that acrobat, that athleticism. Listen, you can't coach that.
Wide receiver, Rocket, I'll let you decide. I mean, look at those kicks.
Bicycle in the air. I like this.
All right, let's go to a little bit of trash talking here. SMU trying to plant their flag at midfield. TCU not having it. Check it out. They get the flag away. They rip it apart. Good for them. Like, in a world where we've got so much taunting stuff going on constantly and everybody's looking at the sake of the game, like, there is a moment where the game is over and you're going to go plant your flag at midfield. That's a trash move. And if you get beat up for doing it, I'm all in for it. As the little brother in my life, I realized there was a line with my big brother, and sometimes you cross that line and it hurts. That's what I feel like that is.
Well, I'm surprised that they didn't get beat up for doing that.
Yeah, I mean.
Because that is crossing the line. Okay, you won the game. Don't try to plant a flag in the middle of our field. That's disrespectful. If I didn't beat him up on the field, you're going to probably have to meet me in the locker room some kind of way.
And then it would really get twisted.
Oh, yeah.
See what I did? Now it's time for Best Plays, brought to you by Coca-Cola Zero Sugar. And it starts with Notre Dame. Let's give the Fighting Irish some love as Chris Tyree takes this kickoff 96 yards for the return.
And I love the way he set up his blocks one-on-one with the kicker. If you're a kick returner, if you're a running back, if you can't beat a defender one-on-one, you do not deserve to be back there. You do not deserve to play football. This was a game-changing play for Notre Dame, especially when their starting quarterback went out of the ballgame.
Yeah, this was the momentum shifter, and we need to remember this, that the game was not representative of the final score. This moment helped it. Next up, Florida State's Jashawn Corbin rushes for a 75-yard touchdown run, splits the entire Louisville defense. Breaks a couple of tackles, too.
Oh, that's my Louisville defense. Don't do them like that, Corbin. That's a good run. It's a good run.
And that's all you're going to get out of Harry, the Louisville guy. By the way,
a good run.
Florida State, kudos to them for fighting their way back into the game. It wasn't enough, but at least they fought their way back.
Almost doesn't count.
Oh, wow. All right, next up, Kansas's Trevor Wilson goes up. Look at this ridiculous catch. Goes over the defender and says, I shall get the ball, good sire, and you shall allow it.
You talk about hand-eye coordination. That's why you do the drills. That's why you do the extra stuff, the things that you want to do on the jug machine. One-on-one with your position coaches. Hey, stick your hand in there. Try to rake the ball out of there. Nope, concentration was on point.
That's great work by him. And those are your best plays, brought to you by Coca-Cola Zero Sugar. Now, we're almost to that time where there's enough that we can react to and rank things. So they asked me to give me my 4 best teams in the country. Whoa. Alabama, number 1. Georgia, number 2. Although I could be convinced to flip those. Oregon, number 3. And Oregon not getting enough love. A very complete football team. Doesn't really do anything poorly and much more physical than they're given credit for. And then Iowa, number 4.
Oh, you want to see me go crazy today. What would make you put Iowa at number 4, especially with the showing that they had today?
Well, I mean,
Penn State, I'm not even going to let you answer. Penn State belongs at number 4. They have the 2 signature wins. They went out there and handled business today. Listen, you looked at their schedule. They have a gauntlet of a schedule, but there's no way you can have Iowa ahead of Penn State right now.
So
there's no way you can have Iowa ahead of Arkansas right now. No way.
What, you're just jumping Arkansas from like the mid-teens to number 4?
Yeah.
How many twisted teas did you have earlier? I mean, you can't take that jump.
What was Texas A&M ranked?
Okay, look, Texas A&M, I think Arkansas is going to find themselves in the top 8. I do after that win.
Not only is Arkansas beating these teams, they're taking them back to the woodshed.
If you went into this week with Iowa ahead of Penn State, today didn't change that. And look, why is it that we give credit for trap games for everybody? It's just so good that they survived that trap game. But then Iowa struggles a little bit, and all of a sudden we just decided that means they're no good. And Penn State, by the way, was not we had to turn the Penn State on and watch it more closely in the first half because they were not playing as expected. Your revisionist history on how that game finished.
You know what? Give us a two-screen. I know how we're going to settle this. Let me ask you a question. If Arkansas played Iowa right now, who would win that football game?
Arkansas,
if Penn State was to play Iowa right now, who would win that football game?
Neutral field? I'm taking Iowa.
I'm taking Iowa right now.
I'm taking Iowa.
You're taking Iowa?
I'm taking Iowa. Iowa doesn't make any mistakes.
And he hasn't even had the Jameson yet.
Iowa doesn't make mistakes. And today, what did we see? Teams hurt themselves across the board. Iowa doesn't hurt themselves. They may not be the most athletic team in the country.
Is he crazy?
I mean,
is he crazy?
They're not getting enough respect.
Number 4? They barely won today.
Oh, so barely
against a team who lost to Vanderbilt early in the year.
He does have a point there. I feel less
Number
and less.
4?
Okay, let's move on to celebrate Harry Douglas. And next week I'm going to put Iowa number 1 just to tick you off. Before we go, we got to give Harry a big congratulations in all sincerity. This week it was revealed you will be inducted into the Louisville Athletics Hall of Fame class of 2021 next month. So well deserved. Everyone on the show so happy for you. We are all so proud of you for your opportunity to do this. Are you going to miss a show, though? Because, last time I checked, you got a job to do.
I'm going to try my best to not miss the show. If I can try to catch a flight and get back here in time. If not, I'm going to try to see if I can do it remotely. But I got to say this. The most exciting person about this entire honor, yes, I was excited, but when I told my daughter was so excited. Daddy, can I have my own jersey? Can you tell them to make me my own jersey? So I'm going to get my son and my daughter, I'm going to get them their own jersey made because my daughter got to see me play a little bit, but she was a baby. My son never has. So it's about leaving a legacy. And all I ever wanted to do, man, was honor God, right? Make my parents proud, represent the city of Louisville, put Louisville on a national stage, graduate college, and I did those things, and leave a legacy for not only my kids, but my nieces and my nephews.
Look, you are a Hall of Famer on the field. You are also a Hall of Fame individual, and I mean every ounce of that. The world is better getting to see you analyze stuff, but my life's better getting to be your friend. That being said, if you're giving out free jerseys, I mean, Harry Douglas jersey would look pretty sweet on this guy. I'm just saying.
I got you.
No, look at that. It's a weekly I got you, but the stuff just hasn't come yet. I don't know what's happening. Look, it's been a wild day. What I can assure you is that we will be back next week and every week for Saturday, 7 to 8 p.m. We get you caught up on everything. Hang out with us again at 11 o'clock. We're back for the wrap-up from 11 to 11:30 right here. In the meantime, he's Harry Douglas. I'm Jason Fitz. There's a magnificent crew of people behind the scenes that make this show happen every week. It is a whirlwind. We couldn't do it without him. On behalf of all of us, we appreciate you hanging out with us. This has been the College Football Show presented by AT&T 5G. So many